A1 Grand Prix's gone down under to Sydney, Australia. That hasn't stopped the French coming out on top again with 4 race wins from 6. Team France, with Nicolas Lapierre in the driving seat, are looking invincible.
So Team France is going to make it the double victory here at the Euro Speedway. And here in Portugal, it's Alex Premat who takes the 2 wins, 2 victories, and the fastest lap. It's a perfect score for France.
The question now is who out of the chasing pack can catch them? It's round 4 of the A1 Grand Prix series from Sydney, Australia. The stage is set at Eastern Creek for race day. Hi there, 3 races in and A1 Grand Prix has left behind the comfort zones of Europe and ventured further afield this weekend to Sydney, Australia. It's been no mean feat getting all 50 cars to Eastern Creek from Portugal. It's taken 3 Boeing 747s to do the job. But cars, teams and drivers are here, ready to go head-to-head once more in the World Cup of Motorsport. Let's take you trackside now. Our pit lane reporters for race day, Lee McKenzie and Gareth Jones. Your commentators, Ben Edwards and John Watson. First, over to Ben.
Time to take a detailed look at the grid for the first race of the day. Sprint race to be held over 20 laps, beginning with a rolling start. On pole for the second time this year is France, series leaders, seeking win number 5. Portugal second, their best grid spot so far. Switzerland third, and then Brazil in 4th place. Piquet has some work to do. Great Britain in 5th place, just ahead of Ireland. And then we've got Canada, Sean McIntosh, great effort, just ahead of the Netherlands, Jos Verstappen. Then it's Malaysia and Mexico. Malaysia were held up by Mexico in qualifying. Italy and Germany are on row 6. On row 7, Australia versus New Zealand, a wonderful private battle. South Africa and the Czech Republic on row 8. Then Pakistan and Russia on row 9. They're followed by Japan and China, and then Lebanon and USA. Brian Herter driving for the first time for the American team. Then Matthias Lauda for Austria and Armin Ibrahim for India, bringing up the rear of the grid. No Indonesian entry this weekend. The driver committed elsewhere, a programme that was organised before he got the call to race in A1. Pace car is just setting off now, and the formation lap begins here in preparation for the first of 2 races, and it's Nicolas Lapierre who leads them away for Team France. Portugal, remember, second on the grid, the best qualifying performance so far from Portugal. Are we going to see a new winner here today? Another nation, a third nation, become a winner in A1 Grand Prix. So far, France are the dominant country. They've taken 4 wins on their way to 50 points, but 2 wins have gone to Brazil, and that's why they're second in the championship. Switzerland have had 3 podium finishes, so they've been the next best in terms of results. And then we've had 1 podium finish each for New Zealand, Australia, Great Britain, Canada, Mexico and Ireland. We'll see today whether we get some new podium visitors.
Well, I'm interested to see how the start of the race is going to unfold, because with France on pole position and alongside Portugal, I'm quite certain that Alvaro Parente is going to try and take a real flyer and even attempt to go around the outside of the corner, even alongside Team France. Now that's a risky thing to do. It's risky for France, and because France has got such a dominant position, they don't need to take those risks. They can afford to maybe give up their winning record and take a second place if you get a very, very aggressive Team Portugal making an issue out of turn 1, or even possibly into the much slower second gear turn 2.
Well, here we are, the drivers now beginning to slow down behind the pace car, and just gradually they'll bring this pace down as they come through the latter section. They're now at turn 9, and from this point on I think they will really begin to slow it down. There's the Australian car, Will Davison at the wheel, and the very distinctive colours there, and of course behind him Black Beauty, the New Zealand car. That's what they call their car. There's some supporters here from New Zealand today, of course. It's the closest they get to a home race. And, well, if they can beat Australia on Australia's territory, that would certainly give them something to smile about. Towards the back, Team USA, Brian Herter really has got some work to do. Didn't really get himself dialed in qualifying, and discovered that getting the best out of the Cooper tyres on when they're brand new is a little bit of a skill in itself. Now the team's really beginning to bunch up together, and they'll hope for a good, clean and smooth start here. The pace car, Simon Hill just taking the pace car into the pits now. He's got them bunched up nicely. We're ready for a start.
The thing is that the pole position is on the dirty side of the track, although it's closer to the corner, turn 1. it is to the advantage of Portugal. On the left of your picture, on the clean side of the track, more grip coming into the first turn.
Bit of bunching up behind, but we're all ready to go racing now. The French team controls the pace at the start, and we're racing in Australia, and France versus Portugal into the first turn. Side by side they go through the flat out corner. Brazil up to third, and as they run out to the curb, Neil Yarni very cautious for Switzerland. He's been passed by Brazil, and Great Britain trying to get down the inside. We've got a bit of bunching going on behind though.
Team New Zealand and Czech Republic and South Africa have all gone off in turn 2. In fact, Team New Zealand, I think, will be adjudged to have jumped the start, though they lost any advantage with going off track.
Over the bump, and Ireland have come up to 4th and Great Britain 5th, so both Michael Devaney and Robbie Kerr made excellent getaways there, and Neil Yarni of Switzerland was very, very cautious into the first corner. So it's France that leads, 2nd Portugal, 3rd Brazil, 4th is Ireland, 5th is Great Britain, and now everyone else trying to jostle for position. Mexico chased by Germany and Australia, and in that battle between Australia and New Zealand, it's Australia on top as the Czech Republic car has come to a stop, and Thomas Enger is already out of the car.
Well, already Nicolas Lapierre and Team France has pulled out maybe half a second advantage over Portugal as they come through turn 9. Safety car is already going to be deployed because of the cars stuck down in turn 2. Thomas Enger, the Czech Republic, was one of 3 cars we saw going off there. That car needs to be taken away to safety. The safety car now exits the pit lane. There is a Chrysler Hemi. That's our safety car here for the weekend.
Yep, so out onto the circuit comes the safety car. No great surprise. I think everyone thought we might see some action on the first lap, and sure enough, not too much. They got through the first corner pretty safely. Good start by the French car of Nicolas Lapierre. A very good start as well by Portugal. He did try and think about going around the outside, did Alvaro Perez. Didn't really come off. Well,
he had the longer way to go. They were pretty much evenly matched on acceleration. I think Perez maybe had a very marginal gain just at the point where they got on throttle when the lights went to green. Nevertheless, Nicolas Lapierre did such a good job over previous races. His confidence is high. He had the inside line. He could control the corner, but more critically, he could control the corner into turn 2. Once he got that advantage, then he just began the process that we've seen him and Team France do over the last 2 rounds, just gradually ease away.
What a good start from Team Ireland though. They started in 6th place and they're up to 4th position. Great Britain in 5th, which is where they started, but they are ahead of Switzerland. Switzerland really didn't make much of the first lap, and Neil Yarni's not been very well this weekend, and you just wonder whether he's not feeling that confident. I don't know. Netherlands are running 7th, Malaysia 8th, Canada 9th, Italy in 10th, then it's Mexico, Germany, Australia are 13th ahead of Pakistan, Russia, Japan, Lebanon, Austria, China, New Zealand back in 20th, USA 21st, then India and South Africa.
Well, the reason there was a bit of a mix and match in the 3rd and 4th rows was simply because going into turn 2, it's natural that everybody will dive down the inside, and of course if you position yourself correctly, you can take advantage of that little bit of greed of trying to sneak away a bit extra track.
Just looking at the graphic, you can see who's used the power boost already, and France have already used 2 of the 4 power boosts they're allowed in the sprint race. Remember, they can use it up to 4 times in the sprint race and up to 8 times in the feature.
And the way the power boost button works is you've got a switch on the steering wheel, you push it, it is activated or deactivated once you lift off the throttle. So even in the case of a very slight lift, which you might even think was nothing, you will deactivate it. So twice on the opening lap, France. There you see France was marginally behind. That's probably where he activated the power boost button for the first time. As he sweeps ahead of Team Portugal, you can see Brazil behind, but look behind, 3 cars abreast as they go into turn 2.
This was exciting stuff. That was the leaders heading in, and then just trying to watch what's going on behind. There was Brazil going around the outside of Switzerland. Switzerland a bit cautious in the middle of the corner, and then was ganged up on by both Ireland and Great Britain.
So we ride on Malaysia as they go into this station. Team New Zealand round the outside. They go off. Malaysia just about stays on.
We're on with Australia. Yeah. But so that was New Zealand losing out there. And let's see if we can see that again. Did he get a squeeze? Oh yeah, New Zealand got pushed out by somebody else. It might have been Mexico.
Well, South Africa gets squeezed out onto the dirt as well. But unfortunately for Czech Republic and Thomas Enger, not able to keep the engine running, not able to get back into the race, and that's the reason why safety car is being deployed. And there you see the Czech Republic's car being hoisted to safety. That'll be placed behind the concrete barrier, and I hope very shortly the safety car will be, as Stephen Simpson's team South Africa also struggling to keep up with the tail. He was one of those 3 cars we saw go off in turn 2, so we'll wait to see when the safety car will be replayed into the pits.
Well, what a disappointment for a couple of drivers there. Great shame to end up on the grass. As you say, Stephen Simpson of South Africa now at the back, and of course we've lost the Czech Republic car altogether, and after a couple of finishes in the points last time, he was 5th in the sprint and 9th in the feature, Thomas Enger in Estoril in Portugal, but the Czech Republic, I'm afraid, become the first retirement in this race, and there is the car. I don't think it's, well, you see the rear wheel on the left rear, I think, very scuffed and maybe suspension damaged.
Yes, the left rear's got one of the toe links on the rear suspension. That's what controls the direction the wheel should rotate in. That's been damaged, or maybe one of the joints on the inside of it has been broken, so that car could not have continued regardless of whether the engine had running or not.
Lights are out on the safety car, so we're going to be going racing once again as they come around this time. They've just got the last 3 corners and a sequence that runs together to come through, and Lapierre's keeping the pace very, very slow at this stage.
Yes, he's in control. He can do what he chooses, and of course when he comes out of turn 12 he will be in position to get on the throttle before anybody else does, and of course that gives him the advantage on the initial run to make the break. Now there he is beginning to pick up the throttle, and he's sort of maybe caught some of the field further behind, rather flat-footed. The gap is probably best part of half a second even at this point before they actually continue racing. Technically they've got to wait until they cross the start-finish line before they can begin the process of overtaking.
Here we go then, green flag flies, and Lapierre for Team France has opened up a little bit of an edge there over Portugal's Alvaro Perez. Brazil in 3rd, 4th for Ireland, 5th for Great Britain. Here we've got a battle going on side by side, Mexico and Italy. Italy trying to go around the outside to hold that position, and now Germany's got to run down the inside. 3 abreast, surely not! Down the inside, they hit each other. Well, you can see that one coming, and Germany jammed over the top of the Mexican car.
Well, we know Adrian Sutil is a great racing driver. We saw that in Portugal, but that one was telegraphed. You could see there was not going to be space for 3 cars to get into 1 on the entry into turn 2, and that there's 2 more cars already on lap 4 of this 20-lap sprint race, out of this 20-lap sprint race.
Well, you have to say it's probably likely we're going to see the safety car again here, as the Mexican driver Salvador Duran is trying to put his steering wheel back on. They'll get into trouble if he doesn't put it back on the car, so the marshals can move it out of the way. France lead in the early stages of the sprint race here. 2nd place Portugal, 3rd Brazil, then it's Ireland, Great Britain and Switzerland.
So safety car once again in the space of 2 laps is due to be deployed to get these 2 cars again away to safety. Turn 2, there's not a huge amount of space on the outside of the corner, and if a car should just go off under its own accord or through other reasons, you want to have clear ground, nothing in the way of anybody who might have a problem.
So once again they slow it all down, and we'll have to see how things bunch up again. It was a very good restart by Team France, and Lapierre managed to make a bit of a break, and Robbie Kerr of Great Britain just had got left behind a little bit, not quite sure why, because Ireland had made a good restart, and he had dropped back a little. Let's just take a look. The battle behind was between Mexico and Italy, and then Germany got involved.
Well, Mexico and Italy managed to get through turn 1 without any difficulty, but you see then Adrian Sutil picks up the draft, dives down the inside, there's nowhere to go, he's put on the grass, he's losing all his steering and braking control, and that was a very fundamental and sort of immature accident. A young driver of his quality, and he has got a lot of quality, he was just being too greedy, too anxious, and a bit behind, even further behind. I think that's Lebanon gets on the grass, so not just were we seeing trouble here in turn 2, it was on the exit of turn 1, cars off track as well.
Lights out are on the safety car now. They're at turn 9, and so once again, same sort of place as we saw earlier on, where the lights go out on the safety car. He accelerates away to get out of the way, because it's up to Team France to set the pace now.
Last time the safety car went in, it was about here, turn 10 up into turn 11, that Nicolas Lapierre started to get on the programme again. Still keeping the field pretty bunched. Now he's on the throttle, hard on the throttle, accelerates up into turn 11 and goes through there.
And they've left Brazil behind. Look, that caught Piquet out a little bit. Portugal has stayed with him this time. Portugal got a pretty good restart, but they've both been able to outfox Brazil a touch. He's in 3rd, Ireland in 4th, then in 5th place it's Great Britain, 6th place for Switzerland. Then behind them the orange car of the Netherlands, always so distinctive and easy to pick out. Behind him it's Malaysia, then Canada, and turning through it's Australia, Italy, Pakistan up there, then Russia, Japan, Austria, and the rest
rest of them all filing through, and let's hope they make it through. There's a little mistake from Switzerland, and the Netherlands gets alongside Switzerland as they come out of turn 2, still side by side through turn 3. Now Jos Verstappen will try and come back on the inside.
There's a big bump as the cars go over the crest, but Neil Yanni moves over to the centre of the track, not to block, but just to avoid it. It's a very aggressive bump.
Now he's got the inside. Oh, he had to think about it there.
He certainly did, but in reality, if he was going to put his car right in that corner, that would have been a further collision. Jos Verstappen wisely got out of the throttle. He's going to wait. He's got another opportunity. It will not come until he exits out of turn 12. He's got to get himself in position then to try and get under the rear wing, pull out before turn 1. That's his best opportunity to make up that one position he needs from 7th up to 6th.
Yeah, he's still got 3 power boost opportunities, whereas Switzerland are down to 1. So Neil Yanni might be a sitting duck if Jos Verstappen can run that correctly. He's got to get close enough, though, to take advantage of it in the first place. Everyone else filing through turns 10, 11 and 12. There's Roman Rusinov, the Russian driver, having his first drive in A1 Grand Prix. He's running 13th. Not a bad effort at all. And as they come down the straight, we've got the graphic showing the power boost. Either of them using it? No. Neither Switzerland nor the Netherlands deciding to use the power boost at this stage in the race. There are still 12 laps to go. Plenty of opportunity perhaps. We saw Australia being pushed hard by Pakistan as they came down into turn 1. There's Brian Herter driving for Team USA, his first drive in A1 Grand Prix, having taken over from Scott Speed. A bit wide there from Italy, and that's allowing Australia to close up, and that's South Africa.
It is. There was contact somewhere coming out of turn 12. We saw a huge cloud of dust go up. We also saw Toccacella, Team Italy's car, way over to the left-hand side of the track as he cut back quite aggressively to the right-hand side as they went down into turn 1. Whether that was a contact between South Africa and Italy, we never saw, but certainly South Africa in the pits with a broken rear suspension.
There's Portugal, or a big slide there from Portugal in second place. Great Britain still keeping the pressure on Ireland. Netherlands dropped back a bit from Switzerland, Malaysia, Canada, then Italy, then Australia. Slightly different lines: Pakistan, Russia, Japan, Austria, New Zealand. And of course New Zealand got squeezed out at the start of the race, and they haven't really been able to make up much ground as yet. They're running down in 16th behind Matthias Lauda of Austria. Into the pits has come South Africa. Race over, I'm afraid, for Stephen Simpson, and they at least have got the car in the pit lane. That team can go to work and get it ready for the feature. Just looking at the replay, this is how it happened. It was contact with Lebanon that did it.
Yes, and there you see Stephen Simpson, the suspension broken already. Now, obviously some other cars came round and went into the dust. Well, it wasn't broken at that stage. Well, maybe he didn't realise it's broken. Suddenly he does realise something has gone wrong. The car being jacked up, it will be pulled back into the garage. The broken corner will be replaced for the 40-lap feature race, but there's a lot more work to be done in many more cars, and those teams will not be able to get access to the cars until this race is over.
Now the top runners just getting a little more spread apart as they come through turns 4 and 5. Canada in the middle of the shot there. Australia's managed to pull away now from Pakistan by a little way. There's New Zealand followed by Austria, and so New Zealand have managed to get past Austria on that last lap. So there's a move there from Johnny Reid. He's managed to gain one position. He's now up into 15th position.
And just watching the cars as they came round 4 and into turn 5, you could see how much the cars are beginning to move around, even at this relatively early stage. They're on lap 10 or a 20-lap race, of which 5 laps have been under safety car. So the back tyre, which is the tyre most teams have been trying to work around to get stability into the back of the car, is beginning to give some drivers bigger problems than others.
China there running in 17th position currently. They had a big accident earlier on in the week in the free practice session. They had to build up the spare car because the primary car was too badly damaged. In fact, they've got themselves ahead of the United States, so it's Brian Herter chasing down Tang Yijiang, and there's a difference in experience level, but at the moment Herter's not managing to find a way through, and it's Team France just easing away. Look at the gap now over Portugal in second and Brazil in third. Ireland still there in 4th place, then Great Britain 5th, and Neil Yanni of Switzerland trying to avoid that big bump. He's the only driver who really makes the big effort there to sweep out of the way of the bump. Everyone else just tending to go over it and letting the car ride the bump and not worrying too much. On board with New Zealand, and he's, as we saw, he passed Austria on the last lap, John. Now he's putting the pressure on Japan.
Yes, and that's going to be difficult again. He's just got to be patient. He's got to wait behind Japan. There's nothing he can do as he comes through turn 7. He's going to have no opportunity on the run up into turn 8. Then long turn 8, but immediately on the exit you've got to be on the brakes into turn 9, second gear downhill off camber. hairpin. Easy to overrun this corner. Johnny Reid gets a good line, good apex, but again, no advantage. So all he can do is position himself. At this point now, this is critical. He's got to get himself sufficiently close to the rear of Team Japan that he can pick up he's got a car ahead, that's Team Russia ahead. So two cars have got the potential to give him a good slipstream down this long main straight. But I do not think he's sufficiently close behind. He's using his boost button right now to try and pick up a little bit of horsepower, but it's not close enough as he's sweeping to turn 1. But he might find himself on the exit of turn 1 in a position to challenge into turn 2. I think he's too far behind.
Yeah, too far back to make a move there. Just ahead of him, just ahead of the Japanese car is the Russian car, and it does look as though New Zealand could lap a lot faster if they could find a way through, but they haven't been able to do that so far. Up over the bump, this is where we see the cars take off. You could just see the air underneath the Japanese car ahead, but Hayanari Shimoda doing a good job at the moment there. First race in A1 Grand Prix, and so far so good.
Yeah, it's quite a different prospect from driving a two-seater sports car, or effectively two-seater sports car, a long race and long distance endurance races. Team Lebanon, now they had contact with Team South Africa. That contact must have led to something more significant, because that's another retirement in this 20-lap sprint race. But Shimoda will pick up speed. He's a naturally quick driver. He's one of the young promising prospects to come out of Japan in the last year.
We're going to have a lot of cars starting from the back of the grid in the feature race at current rate of progress. The Czech Republic, Germany, Mexico, South Africa and Lebanon will all be starting towards the back of the field as a result of retiring from the sprint race, and there you can see the list of cars that we've had out. Now the gap between France and Portugal, look at the way it's opened up in recent laps. It's now 4.6 seconds.
Well, it's really a walk around Eastern Creek for Nicolas Lapierre and Team France. They've just got such a well set up car. The balance is ideal, whether it's in full tanks, empty tanks, or something in between. They've worked on consistency very much through Friday. They've also had the natural speed there, that when they need to go to qualifying, they've got that speed as well. So they've got right now the perfect car set up, and they're able to control the race very comfortably indeed from the front.
Race for 10th place here, Italy versus Australia. So I don't know whether Australia is going to be able to reclaim a top 10 position here or not, but Italy currently ahead of them, and that means that Will Davison's got some work to do here. France lead, Portugal second, Brazil in third. Look at the power boosts to the left. 2 available to France, 1 available to Portugal, and on further down the list, 1 or 2 people have used all of their allocation, including Great Britain. Robbie Kerr running in 5th place, but he's used all his power boosts, although he's not under too much pressure at this stage. Australia has used all of its power boosts as well, so that means he's going to have to just hope that he can find a little bit more performance out of the car in order to close up on Italy.
Well, Team Italy is not going to be an easy prospect for Team Australia. Enrico Toccacella, very experienced driver from other single-seater series, and look at the gap. There's certainly over a second the gap between Italy in 10th and Australia in 11th. Alan Jones on the headsets without contacting, certainly giving information, but
well, we saw several cars going out early on in this race, and one of the ones that went out after contact with Lebanon was the South African car. Driver Stephen Simpson is back in pit lane, and I think we can hear from him. Waiting to hear from Stephen Simpson in pit lane, but just struggling to pick up any sound there, so we'll come back to that in a moment. It's still France that leads. Look at the way that Brazil's going, really closing up now on Portugal.
And I think this is what I was talking about earlier, about how you conserve your tyres. Brazil has closed right down to the rear of Team Portugal. Portugal is under pressure. What Portugal hoped to do was to get pulled away with Team France. That has not happened. The gap is now over 5 seconds between first and second, but real pressure as we come in the 7 laps to go onto Main Straight.
So that's, as you say, is interesting to note what's going to happen in the closing stages of the race. Tyre wear really is a factor, and that Portuguese car is sliding around. The Brazilian car looks more stable, and Nelson Piquet Jr. desperately wants to move up and get some more points here. One more point, of course, to be gained, but you certainly don't want to risk a non-finish in the sprint race, because then you've got all the work to do from the very back of the feature race. So he'll only go for it if there's a golden opportunity, I think.
Now watch how Team Portugal's car is as it comes through turn 4. That's the turn they're approaching now. we get either a head-on or a rear view, you'll see Portugal's car, the back of the car sliding round more than for Team Brazil and Nelson Piquet Jr. That's because he's used his tyres, his rear tyres, that much harder earlier in the race, and Team Brazil and Piquet have conserved theirs better.
Both drivers have used all of their power boost availability, so they can't do any of that. Let's try going back down to pit lane now and hear from Stephen Simpson.
Stephen, hopefully they can hear us this time. Tell me what happened out there.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. After dropping to the back of the field at the second corner, I mean, a few people went off in front of me, and I think I followed them also off in sympathy or something, but it dropped me to the back of the field, and when I was making my way through, I made a move on the Lebanese car going into the last corner, and I got alongside him, and I don't think he saw me and just turned in on me, and unfortunately bent the right rear suspension. So yeah, that was definitely one to forget, but I came from the back of the grid at Brands Hatch to finish 6th, so that's definitely going to be planned for the next one.
Let's hope they get it fixed so you get a chance to do that. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Gareth. There was Stephen Simpson in the pit lane, but we're focusing on this battle at the moment that's going on for second between Portugal and Brazil, and it is a close battle, a tight battle between these two. As you say, the Portuguese car definitely sliding around more, but can Piquet take advantage of that?
Well, the problem for Piquet is that he's now lost the momentum that took him up to the back of Team Portugal, because the pace that Portugal's running at is about half a second a lap slower than the potential of Piquet, and because of the nature of the circuit from turn 2 all the way really up until turn 12, there's not much opportunity of getting alongside, let alone affecting a pass. So all Team Brazil and Piquet can do is just get into position, try and make sure you make no mistakes. We saw in the previous lap there was a big lock-up into turn 9. Now here we go down in Japan and New Zealand into turn 2. Now that's how you make a pass, a good clean pass. Well done from Shimoda. He saw the quicker car coming. He didn't try to block or push, and China slide goes off track.
Yeah, but so busy watching what was going on ahead that China ran wide there. Tang Yizhang going very wide indeed, and I think that's allowed, yes, it's allowed USA through. I'm not sure if it allowed India through, because they were next around, and I'm not sure whether the Indian car got past or not. But that means New Zealand now up into 14th place, and maybe with a chance of getting past Russia as well, because we saw that the Russian car was perhaps holding them up a little bit. On board here with Italy as they challenge for 9th place with Canada.
So those have got a little bit left with their power boost buttons. Toccacello beginning gradually to pick up the slipstream as they come down the straight, flat out into turn 1. He's not close enough to be able to get up alongside. We saw he already was in battles coming through turn 1 in the earlier part, and he locks it up, runs wide, but recovers, gets back, didn't really lose overall any distance between himself.
Yeah, and Sean McIntosh just still ahead of him at the moment, but Toccacello's looking good here, and maybe, you remember, he got squeezed out in that battle with when Germany had a collision with Mexico, and Italy lost out as a result of that. But it does look as though he's got pretty good pace here this afternoon, currently running in 10th place, but now trying to get past Team Canada. Ahead of them both is Malaysia. Alex Young at the wheel of the Malaysian car. He's driving both races this weekend, not sharing the drive as he has done on some occasions with Cyrus Fauzi. And then ahead of them both is the Team Netherlands car in 7th place of Jos Verstappen. But we're back now to the race for second. 3 laps to go. France way ahead in this race. In fact, as they come across the line, let's just check what the gap is. It's 8.1 seconds between first and second, but very little at all between second and third.
Yes, and Piquet Jr. and Team Brazil really unable to get sufficiently close in the final turn to put himself into position. Now he closes right up here. That's because Team Portugal are struggling to get traction out of that uphill tight turn 2 hairpin bend. He can run all over the back of this car, but he can't get past on this part of the track. Again, that big kick at the back of both cars as they come out of turn 3 into turn 4. Alvaro Parente, Team Portugal, is in a situation where he doesn't have to push particularly hard. What he has to do is make sure he doesn't get forced into making an error, and therefore putting himself in a position where he could lose his second place.
Wonderful topography of this Eastern Creek Raceway, where they're up and down, and they've got off-camber corners to deal with. Like some people likening it to maybe a little bit like Alton Park in the UK or Mid-Ohio in the United States. There's a lot of thinking to be done. It's quite technical in places, but overtaking obviously is not easy. There are the few opportunities that we've seen, and we're back on board here with Italy in 10th place just behind Canada, and I gather that this race will actually finish on the clock rather than on laps, because they're getting very close to the 30-minute maximum that the sprint race is allowed.
Well, that'll be the first time it is done, so we got very close in Portugal to a finish on the clock rather than on the designated number of laps. So as we look once again at Sean McIntosh, Canada in 9th, and Enrico Toccacella in 10th place for Team Italy.
So, a big slide from Italy there. He was just so eager to get on the throttle a bit earlier, a bit more fully, and that's the result. When you haven't got traction control, the driver gets a bit excited, puts the car on a bit too soon, and round comes the back end.
Well, there's the countdown of the clock you see on the top of your screen. Just 15 seconds to go. There are the positions. Domination once again by France, but Portugal strong and being pushed very hard by Brazil. Great result for Ireland. Michael Devaney, 20 years of age, in 4th place.
Team France lead, and as the clock runs out, the checker flag will be given to Team France at the end of this lap. So they will have effectively been 1 lap down on the expected race distance. It was oh no, we've got Japan and Austria off. Look at that. Both cars in trouble, damaged as well. What a shame. What a way to finish the race. But it is Team France that's going to come through the final corner here at Eastern Creek Raceway to record yet another victory. This is win number 5 of the season for Team France. They will continue to extend their championship lead, and it's France, Nicolas Lapierre, who wins it. He's won every time he's been in this car so far.
And that is a real copybook performance, with a battle for second and third going to Portugal over Brazil, and Team Ireland doing a superb job in 4th place, followed up by Team GBR in 5th.
Yeah, so some great results there, and Ireland, after scoring a podium finish last time out at Estoril, have come home in 4th. Great Britain in 5th place, and the two of them were separated by only 1 point coming into this race. Well, Ireland finishing ahead of Great Britain will extend that to 2 points now, but both teams scoring sufficiently. India running towards the back. I think they are going to finish the final runner. They're running in 19th, but of course it will give them the edge over several cars that have failed to finish. No, they won't be 19th, because we've seen a couple of cars go off on that last lap, so they'll move up the order.
They'll be up to 17th, and that is significant, because that will reflect on your grid position for the feature race. But of course you've got a lot of damaged cars that are all off track, primarily all down at turn 2. They've got to be, there's a review. Team Austria, the red and white car behind Team Japan with white with the red rounders. Oh, just simply mistake, under brakes. Maybe Shimoda braked early. Lauda did not anticipate that was, look, the hands up saying, well, you know, I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Oh, what a shame. Herter in the American car managed to pick his way through this quite well, actually. Look, he had to go round the outside and then sort of cut back in between the two of them.
I suspect Brian Herter is wondering to himself, what am I doing in a carnage like this?
Well, that was a bit of a mistake there from Matthias Lauda. He just got caught out, misjudged the braking, tapped into the back of the Japanese car, and there's a whole collection of drivers there now.
Well, I think there are 4 altogether down there, but there's a right scrapyard of carbon fibre and body parts down at turn 2, where all that contact took place, and it's really been the bogey corner on this 2.44 mile Eastern Creek Raceway circuit. So Nicolas Lapierre did a superb job. He had 2 safety car interruptions which he had to deal with. He dealt with them both superbly. He got the jump very well and comfortably on Team Portugal, and looked unflustered, just drove his own race, always had clear air, never challenged, very dominant.
So France win by the full 8.6 second margin over Portugal, which have their best results so far. Brazil in 3rd, Ireland strong 4th ahead of Great Britain in 5th, Switzerland in 6th, the Netherlands in 7th, Malaysia 8th ahead of Canada and Italy. Any of those top 10 could be in shape to do well in the feature race, of course. Behind them we've got Australia in 11th place, just outside the points. Pakistan running well to get 12th ahead of Russia. New Zealand, Johnny Reid did claim a few spots after being pushed out wide on the first lap. United States 15th, China in 16th ahead of India, and then the non-finishers, quite a list of those: Japan, Austria, Lebanon, South Africa, Mexico and Germany. And those teams are the ones desperate to get their cars back to the pits. We know Lebanon's car made it back, so did South Africa, but the other cars have all to be brought back to the pits so their teams can get on with the work that's required to get them ready for the feature race.
Welcome back to Eastern Creek, Sydney, where France are again celebrating another race victory. That's 6 wins in 8. Now it's time for the feature race. Let's go back trackside and rejoin John Watson and Ben Edwards.
This is the grid lineup. They will start the other way round this time.
with pole position on the outside heading into the first corner. It will be France to start on pole position, Portugal alongside him on the front row with the inside line but the dirtier line of track. Then it's Brazil and Ireland. Ireland hoping for a second podium finish in A1 Grand Prix. Great Britain and Switzerland follow up. Then it's the Netherlands and Malaysia. Both cars running well in the top 10 in that first race. They're followed by Canada and Italy. Italy looks pretty strong after the earlier incident. Australia, Pakistan, Russia and New Zealand. New Zealand really having to try and fight their way up the order here. Herta for the USA ahead of China, India, Japan. There's Shimoda followed by Lauda, so Lauda will be right behind him again. Then it's Shaban of Lebanon, Stephen Simpson of South Africa, and then the guys who went out earlier on, Duran of Mexico, Germany's Adrian Sutil, and our first retirement, therefore he lines up last on the grid, and that is Thomas Enger of the Czech Republic. Top racer, but he's going to have to work very hard to move up from there. So let's have a look as they get ready for the formation lap. Remember, it is going to be a standing start when they come back around to the grid positions, and the green flag is waved. Away they go then, and they can do a little practice start. Watch for any cars stalling. We've had a few problems with cars stalling as they try and pull away either on the formation lap or on the real start. But I think looking down from our commentary position, they've all moved away cleanly, yes.
Yes, everybody's gone through it. You can see there already some of the dust I was talking about. It doesn't look too bad then, but cars are not all bunched together at the standing start. One other fact that's just been sent up to us from pit lane is that track temperature has risen, and it's up now at a very steamy, very hot 46 degrees Celsius. That is also a significant factor in this 40 laps feature race. Again, teams have got to adjust their cars. They will have done so, no doubt, between the sprint and the feature race, but making sure that the back end of the car, that's the area where most people have had to work on here this weekend to ensure consistency. It's going to be a tough race with 46 degrees track temperature.
Running on board, Team Ireland with Michael Devaney. What a great run to fourth place in the first race here today. And Team Ireland's campaign much better on track now, with a third last time out in Portugal and now fourth here this weekend. But they're going to have pressure on them from Team Great Britain, there's no doubt about that. Robbie Kerr's right in there with him. He finished fifth, starts in fifth place. Towards the back, we've got some quick guys to watch out for. South Africa, Mexico, Germany and the Czech Republic bringing up the rear. So they're going to have to try and fight their way up the order. The likes of New Zealand starting 14th with USA 15th. We're going to have to watch just about every area of the pack here, because there'll be dices going on throughout the field, I'm sure. There is the Chinese car of Tang Yijian, and after that fairly heavy impact, it was a 100 mile an hour impact with the tyre barrier he had here in free practice. But thankfully the team did a great job of getting the spare car built up, and he hasn't seemed to have lost any confidence as a result.
I know, and also physically, which is probably the most important element of that accident. You get a neck stretch when you hit something solid, as he did at that speed, and stop pretty much where you hit the barrier. So he's looking reasonably well physically, and his confidence has grown. He's shown at different points through the weekend there is pace there. It's just about getting a little bit more experience and certainly some more consistency. And it'll not be long before we do see China getting into the points. And of course, as we have said previously, looking forward to going to Shanghai on the 2nd of April for the final of the 12-round race series in A1GP.
Right, here we go then. Cars are now heading down the main straight and will put up into their allocated grid positions. That means France on pole, Portugal on the inside. Watch out for cars on the inside and perhaps not getting quite the grip and traction. It is the dirtier side of the track, but on the other hand, we've had a few races here this weekend, so hopefully those inside lines have been cleaned up by tyres from other formulae. On to his grid position, here comes Robbie Kerr. Now he is on the outside, that's the preferable side probably in terms of getting some grip away from the line, but still a number of cars to line up.
Yes, and I'm looking to Team GBR and Robbie Kerr. They're going to try and jump Team Ireland to get that fourth place as they go around into turn one, and I think that certainly is going to be a little pinch point as we see the cars come up onto the grid and then wait for the lights to go red and then go out. So watch around the second row of the grid, particularly with Team Ireland and Team GBR.
The feature race at Eastern Creek Raceway.
is about to get underway. It's the 8th race of A1 Grand Prix. Team France are looking for their 6th win. Can they do it, or will they be beaten off the line? It's Portugal on the front row with them. Watch out for the battle behind as Brazil gets away from 3rd place on the grid. Ireland challenging. Not a good start from Team Ireland, and they're under threat initially as they come into the first corner. Switzerland making a good start there. Oh, a bunching going on through turn 1, but they've made it through there safely and heading down towards turn 2. And France in 2nd. Portugal lead. France and Brazil battling for 2nd as Ireland go on to the dirt.
Yes, Ireland did get squeezed out by GBR, and as a consequence they've gone off at turn 1. I think one of the Japan left on the grid, another white car. We couldn't quite see what it was, but look at that, over that bumper, which again, look at the group of cars in that midfield bunched right up together.
And Great Britain have had a good start as well. They're up near the front, but the race leader is Portugal. It's France in 2nd, who just managed to fend off Brazil. And Portugal have got a brilliant getaway here. Now can we see another country win in A1 Grand Prix? Alvaro Parent leads. France 2nd, Brazil 3rd, Great Britain in 4th place. Robbie Kerr putting the pressure on Nelson Piquet Jr. And then I think it's the Swiss car of Neil Yarni.
So Piquet in 3rd place, Great Britain in 4th. Ireland dropped all the way back because of that squeeze going through turn 2. So a lot of work for Michael Devaney to do as we see the cars again, that tail of the field, really nowhere to go. Just have to wait until they come up to turn 12 and then think about it going down Main Straight.
Notice Canada was right at the back, so it all went wrong for Canada on the opening lap. Look at the lead that Alvaro Parent has got. Now the task for Team France to close up that gap. And look at Great Britain.
Britain and Brazil, Great Britain and Team Brazil as they come down the straight. Robbie Kerr, can he pull out? He's not going to be close enough, but he's side by side, almost touching wheels left, rear, right, front. Now that he have a dive down the inside, Piquet can defend. He goes down the inside, he takes it, but can Piquet switch back? He's got the momentum. Kerr tries to close the door. Piquet forced onto the curb. Very, very aggressive driving from both drivers.
Great move from Robbie Kerr. Great Britain go up into 3rd place, and Kerr is 3rd, Piquet is 4th, and Robbie Kerr really went for that hard. They were both using power boost, and Brazil using it quite a lot there, but Piquet has ended up back in 4th position. And Great Britain are now in 3rd place.
A very, very good challenge down the inside by Team GBR. Piquet tried to hold position. He tried to make the cut back, but Kerr was able to recover sufficiently to defend that newly found 3rd position, and he's consolidating.
Well, an interesting opening lap, or a couple of laps here. Certainly lots happening. Look at Australia are well up. They're up to 7th. Australia having a great run. Pakistan and Team Ireland battling there. The two cars coming around in 10th and 11th places. I think Ireland's just managed to get past Russia. Yes, it has. So that brings Ireland back into 11th. But of course, Michael Devaney should have been further up near the front. He just lost out at turn 2.
He lost out actually at turn 1 because Robbie Kerr got up along and inside him into turn 1. He tried to go the long way round. Didn't pay, but here he's coming into the pits. Pit stop for Ireland already.
Early pit stop then for Team Ireland, and this is an interesting tactical choice, and a number of cars coming in from the back of the field.
5 in total have come in at the end of lap 2, so this is tactics already. A lot of teams, as I mentioned, they did not want to give up this opportunity of taking that very early pit stop. Michael Devaney was the first of those 5 cars, and there we see the Irish team indicating where he's got to get his car to. Clear pits. This is crucial because he's now got the opportunity again to get in, out quickly. He can then make up time in clear air. He's got the natural speed. We saw that in the sprint race. He's now got that opportunity when he goes back out on track.
Now remember, the pit time there is recording it from coming pit in to pit out. It's the whole stop from start to finish in the pit lane. 31.8. That looked like a good stop for Ireland. Let's see how the others get on. Germany, Canada and Austria all in the pits at the same time. So is India. 32.0 for Canada. That's not a bad effort. But you can see the Irish pit stop was the fastest of all of those.
Yes, and that will play to the strength of Michael Devaney, who ran strongly in the sprint race. But we're back at the front, and look at Alvaro Parent. Team Portugal, that gap he gained on the first lap, well, it's stabilised. It's probably now closing. It was 1.1 as they came across at the end of the third lap. It's now just 1 second. So Team France is eking down that advantage.
Australia are on the attack. You could see closing up to the back of the Malaysian car. 6th place Malaysia, 7th place for Australia. Here we are on board with Will Davison, and he's got an opportunity here perhaps to make some progress, get some more points in the early stages still of the feature race. All of the top 10 yet to make their stops. Of course, they're going to wait a while longer as we've seen other guys further back making their stops early on. Down the hill they come. Watch out for the Netherlands, right in behind Australia as well. Into the pits for an early stop as well. Team USA, Brian Herter at the wheel.
You know, for the teams that are running in the middle of the field to the back, the smart thing to do is to make that pit stop early. As long as you've got a car that is reasonably well balanced, you can get in, you don't have any pressure on the pit stop itself, you get back out, then you run in clear air, you're not being impeded by cars around you. If you stayed out and maybe waited until the back end of the race, you would lose track position, but ultimately you would lose time, and that would be the key to your final position.
Talking of losing time, John, Portugal is being caught by Team France. Look at these two cars. Portugal had a big lead a little while ago, but France is getting closer and closer. Nicolas Lapierre for Team France, bearing down on the Portuguese car, and he's just trying to play it patiently. He might have lost out at the start, but this is a long race. There's plenty of time to go. There's a pit stop to deal with as well, and he's now just getting that little bit closer to the back of the Portuguese car. Great Britain running in third, Brazil in fourth, Switzerland in fifth, then it's Malaysia and Australia flashing past the camera at turn one.
So Nicolas Lapierre and Team France will close down to the back of Team Portugal. I've no, let's look again at the start and see the third car on the right. That's Robbie Kerr. He got a great start, got alongside Team Ireland, then move over to the right. And once Robbie Kerr is through, then behind all more cars. So Ireland coming down on the outside, and that is the reason why that Ireland ultimately lost out, because they were in the wrong part of the track when it counted.
Just trying to see what happened up front, because it was just a bad start, a little bit of a poor start by France, and Portugal sailed away, didn't they, with the lead right from the start there. So France just didn't get off the line at all well, and so busy looking behind, Portugal made a brilliant standing start. It was just a beautiful start from Parent.
And look how busy it was at the tail of the field as cars sweep from right to left, and those on the left-hand side saying, look, we're here already. There you watch Ireland. Michael Devaney just too late in the brakes. He thought he might have had a chance to sneak back and get one of those places he had lost, but too quick into turn two, outbraked himself, went off track. Now it's down to the team who've done a good job in their pit stop, and once again Michael Devaney to try and find some of the ground he lost.
That really was a lightning getaway by Parent, but France did well to fend off Brazil. Now look at this is still, looking at that replay. France got down the inside, Brazil had to give him room, and it was Devaney who ended up on the grass.
Yes, just a driver error on the part of Michael Devaney.
So I think it was Canada who ended up...
no, Australia, that is a big shot.
No, not Australia, it's South Africa. South Africa has had a big accident, but the driver already out and clear of the car. That's Stephen Simpson, he's fine, but that has hit the wall hard. Now, can we see what happened here?
Well, it's coming out of turn 7. Now, we've not seen a car off track there at any point over the weekend, and that's either a question of maybe something on the car, or he just took too much right foot on the throttle, and Stephen Simpson stands there, he's unhurt. But that was a heavy impact, a lot of damage down the right hand side, and Team Italy in the garage. Looks like their afternoon now is over.
Oh, what a shame for Italy. That's end of race, as you say, for them, and doesn't look as though they're in any rush to get him back out again either. So a terminal problem for Team Italy, as Portugal still lead, but look how close France is now. It's Alvaro Parent versus Nicolas Lapierre. Third place still for Great Britain, but Great Britain's Robbie Kerr's got to watch out for Nelson Piquet Jr. behind. Look at the power boosts though. Great Britain using theirs and Brazil using theirs as well in that battle that's going on behind for third position, as France now already beginning to look for an option to get past Portugal.
Well, the problem that France have got is that they're going to find it difficult to pass on pace. They're capable of running even quicker. They're capable of running much quicker, but we've just heard that in fact Portugal have been penalised a drive-through for a jump start. So in fact, now we know the story of what took place at the start. It was a jump start by Portugal, and Nicolas Lapierre is in effect the leader of the race.
Oh, what a disappointment for Alvaro Parent. Well, the start did look mega there, we have to say, but it's been deemed a jump start. We're now riding on board with Piquet, and this will become, of course, the race for second position. Once Portugal do their drive-through penalty, it means this will become the race for second place between Robbie Kerr of Great Britain and Nelson Piquet Jr. of Brazil.
So Alvaro Parent on a big lock-up for Robbie Kerr as he comes into turn 9, and that's not necessarily pressure from behind, that's just Robbie trying to maximise the speed he's got in his car to pull away from Piquet. Nelson Piquet Jr. effectively in third place. We expect Alvaro Parent, Team Portugal, he should peel off track now. Of course, he's not allowed to stop on his way through to make a tyre wheel change. He's going to continue doing another lap. He's entitled to do so, but the longer he stays out, I think the longer it'll take him to get back and have a chance of challenging.
Oh dear, Germany's off again. Adrian Sutil, what's happened this time, I wonder? Any other cars we can see in the background?
No, that looks like it's off. In fact, in turn 1, that was a big off.
Brazil into the pits for their tyre change, and this is a crucial stop there. Nelson Piquet Jr., the Brazilian team go to work, and we've seen a very good stop so far from Team Ireland. It came out at a total of 31.8 seconds from pit in to pit out. Brazil are quite early pits in the pit lane here, and looking good, although no problem on the right front. He's had to go for another wheel nut. Oh, Mexico again, and Czech Republic and Lebanon off as well. Lebanon just managed to avoid them. He should be able to rejoin.
Well, I don't know what the Lebanon were doing there. He was not involved at all in that incident. It was between 2 other cars, and suddenly Lebanon just finds itself adding a show that was 2 cars to make it 3, and luckily there shouldn't be any injury, certainly.
A slower stop than planned for Brazil. This could give Great Britain a chance of taking second place on the pit stops once Perrent has made his drive-through penalty. France will be leading this race, and Robbie Kerr will be second for Great Britain, but he's got his pit stop to do still. We saw a problem for Brazil, and that means Piquet's going to have his work cut out here this afternoon.
Alvaro Perrent peels off. He's now going to drive. He's not going to drive. He is both. And France were going to come in and make a pit stop, and the French team said, no, stay out. You've got the advantage. Now you've got clear air. You can pull away your tyres. Your car's in good shape. Use that to advantage. And when we feel it's time to come in, then we will give you instruction.
So Perrent, as you told us, John, not allowed to change his wheels, but behind him, Switzerland is coming in for a scheduled stop.
And that may have been part of the reason, because the Swiss team and the French team work virtually garage to garage, so it would not have been in the interest of either to have both cars, both nations changing tyres at the same time.
So Portugal rejoins, having done their drive-through penalty, and coming out ahead there on, let's just see, is that Pakistan? Yes, the Pakistan car in 8th place, but the safety car is going to be coming out on circuit, so this is going to bunch everyone up. And of course, with some pit stops to be made, this could work well for some teams that haven't made their pit stop yet. If the teams are quick to call a pit stop, get them in early, then they'll be in good shape. Let's see how the teams react to the news that the safety car is going to be on circuit. Are we going to see France and Great Britain diving into the pits under safety car conditions? It would certainly help them to do that. Let's watch them. They're coming up to the last part of the lap. The safety car comes out onto the circuit. France lead this race at the moment from Great Britain and Portugal. Malaysia now running it in 4th place, and into the pits come the leaders for their pit stop.
They had to do it. They had no choice. The safety car was leaving pit lane. Now the safety car will have to wait and pick up who then is the actual leader. Malaysia comes in as well, so we're going to see probably the majority of the field making the pit stop. And the first car that made a pit stop in the earlier part of the race was in fact Ireland, currently in 13th place, and Ireland can technically become the leader of this race.
Well, let's see what happens. It's France versus Great Britain in the pits this time, and who is going to get the edge here? What pressure is on these guys? The two teams go to work. The wheels are on, but are they all on? It's a great stop from Great Britain, but it's not enough. France have done likewise. Oh, what wonderful timing from both teams. France and Great Britain virtually to the second, surely. A 33.9 for France, a 34.5 for Great Britain. France actually had the edge, and then they will stay in front, and Robbie Kerr of Great Britain will be in second place, as everybody else also, well, those who haven't made their stops, have dived into the pits under this safety car period.
But of course the safety car is still out on track, and that will be out there until all the teams are bunched together. So we now see the record goes and picks up as we wait for the safety car. They'll flag by these cars. These are all cars, whatever, in fact is French, but the 2 cars ahead ought to be waved by to enable them to catch up to the end of the chain. Then again, this is coming Mexico, Russia, and just simply Mexico outbreaking itself, Russia not. And look Lebanon, how it avoided riding over the right rear of the Russian car is beyond me. Basil Shaban, certainly that time well and truly wrong-footed.
Yeah, let's just take another look at this. This was before we saw the pit stop starting. Mexico had a look down the inside. Pakistan locked up ahead, but that didn't make too much difference. Mexico's having a horrible day, isn't it? That's the second time that Salvador Duran's ended up out of the race at the turn number 2.
Well, A1GP is having a horrible time because we've seen more damage, suspension and bodywork damage in these 2 races than probably we've seen in any of the 4 so far. Now the safety car has he got the leader? No, he hasn't.
I think he'll wait until he's got everybody probably before he waves
those two other cars through.
Then they'll have to do a complete lap before we can release the safety car.
There's the Russian driver, Roman Rusinov, out of his car as well, so that's another retirement, I'm afraid, from this one. So out of the race we've lost Russia, Mexico, Germany, Italy and South Africa in these relatively early stages still of the feature race from Eastern Creek Raceway. The Japanese car and the Lebanese car that are behind safety car, they're actually running, down in 19th place for Japan, and Lebanon actually being shown as race leader now because they have not made their pit stop. So Lebanon leads this race. It's only one car, John, that's have to be waved through.
Yes, so the first car to make a stop was Ireland. They are in fact in 7th place. They didn't quite make it to the top of the field, and it is in fact Lebanon, which is probably the only car, or one of the very few cars yet that has yet to make its stop. So for a brief moment we've got Lebanon leading here in Eastern Creek.
Let's see how, he stalled it. The Chinese driver stalled the engine and they weren't ready. See, some of the other teams have been sort of prepared, pushing the car or bump starting it. They weren't quite ready to get him going there. So, being waved past is the Japanese car, and now we've picked up the race leader. That's right, it's Lebanon, because they are the only car that's still running this race that's not made its pit stop.
Ben, when the safety car goes in, there will be a charge like you have never seen, because Lebanon for the first time is in the lead of an A1 Grand Prix race. This is the feature race. All the pit stops have probably taken place with the exception of Lebanon, maybe one or two others at the tail. Their Lebanese team absolutely delighted, but what's going to happen when the safety car goes back into the pit lane? You've got race or potential race winner directly behind, and I mean it's just going to be a very exciting start into turn 1, but probably more likely into turn 2. It just depends how much Basil Shaban in Lebanon car decides to be feisty and defend his lead.
Safety car in, we're about to get the race underway again. Lebanon leads here and they will cross the line, racing hard with Team France. Great Britain didn't make a very good restart there. They've been left behind as France goes on the attack into turn 1. He's being cautious and sensibly so, perhaps, just to see how Shaban places the car. Here comes France down the inside, reclaims the lead of this race, and Shaban's moment of glory over perhaps, although he's still up there in second. And now it's Great Britain, they'll have the task of getting past the Lebanese driver, and there's a lot of places to overtake on this section.
No, there's not, unless it's Basil Shaban and Team Lebanon car make an error. But for Team GBR, Robbie Kerr, he had a poor restart. He has not had good restarts at any of the safety car interventions so far this weekend. They're coming through 5, trying to get up alongside into 6, but no way. And Basil Shaban is there on Murray. He doesn't have to give up anything, but locks up the right front as he goes into turn 7. Now Robbie Kerr looking to try and get alongside into 8. No way he can do so. He maybe, and he gets sideways. Of course, right behind Team GBR is Team Switzerland. Look how much the cars are being backed up. Nobody wants to tell. There now, the move is being made. Lebanon pulls over to the left. Team GBR goes through. Now Team Switzerland will try and get through going into 10. Be careful not to have Lebanon swipe across the front of your car. That could be a nose in the pit stop.
Yep, Great Britain's through, but of course this has allowed Team France an opportunity to edge away, and they really used that half a lap that they had clear air, and now Team France have a big lead over Great Britain in second place. Watch for the power boost being used, the flashing red, and that's the power boost, the extra power being used. Switzerland coming down the straight. Look at the pressure behind. Malaysia attacking Netherlands. Malaysia on the inside of Jos Verstappen had to back out of it as Verstappen now makes the move on Basil Shaban and goes through.
Well, there's racing all the way through the field. Ireland also got into a situation where they started to use more than the one move across the track. That'll be under observation, no doubt, from Team Race Director Tim Schenken.
Yeah, in the background, Brazil just got past New Zealand as well. Brazil managed to just squeeze through, and that puts Brazil up into 10th place. So Piquet Jr. nipped past. Portugal there after their drive-through penalty. They're in behind Australia. They're running in 8th and 9th places. And as we come up the hill here, riding on board here with Australia, chasing after Team Ireland. And Team France are just being given a chance to run away. There's Great Britain, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and then Lebanon, Malaysia in the next one to try and get past that Lebanese car.
Well, this is where Basil Shaban locked up big time. There again, he does it going in to turn 9, runs wide and opens the door for Malaysia and Australia. Australia not quite close enough to sweep through, but have the momentum. But can they get alongside into turn 10? If they can't do it, they're going to have to be patient, back off, use the power boost button when you come in. It comes alongside, but will Shaban let him get through?
Yes. He's through.
Yes, he's done it.
Shaban went a bit too wide there. That was the corner we saw a lot of mistakes in free practice, and Portugal also going through there as well, getting past the Lebanese driver. And watch out behind them, we've got Ireland and Brazil. Brazil having got past New Zealand on the last lap, but Lebanon staying just ahead of Michael Devaney of Ireland. And then Brazil, Piquet's taking advantage here. Piquet's down the inside, he's got past one of them, he's got past Ireland, and can he now get past Lebanon as well?
Well, Ireland and Brazil side by side in turn 2, but Piquet and Brazil have got the advantage. Ireland has to fall back into line. New Zealand now challenging Ireland. Look at Michael Devaney working like a dervish to try and keep Ireland's car out of the grips of New Zealand.
That was clever racing by Piquet there, because he just judged that to perfection. I thought he might try and go for Lebanon as well, but sensibly backed out of that. Now he's got the task of getting past the Lebanese car and gaining on. What was that?
Just a big lock up from Alvaro Perez. But Piquet has got to be patient. He wants to get past. He's got the speed to get past. He just has to wait until a bit of track comes up. It's been in the last 2 laps into turn 9 where Shaban is locked up for Team Lebanon. This time on the inside. Piquet tries to go around the outside. Forget it. You're leaving the door open, Piquet, to allow other cars to come. Look, traffic everywhere.
They're pouring past him. New Zealand have managed to get past Team Ireland in all that. So there's the black car ahead now of Team Ireland. So New Zealand gaining a position maybe up into the points, just up into the points. Oh, but we hear that Brazil have picked up a drive-through penalty. Would you believe it? For a pit lane infringement. Something went wrong on their pit stop, and they didn't do it according to the rules apparently. And Piquet is going to have to come back through the pits again.
So we're looking at Team Ireland chasing Team New Zealand. Just behind we've got Team USA. Brian Herder suddenly finding speed that really has not been there all weekend.
Yeah, so New Zealand, then look at this, Canada down the inside there, and now Canada getting past Lebanon. Austria trying to do likewise, and poor old Battle, he's dropping down the order quickly now.
Well, the best thing is he's not made a mistake that's involved an incident. He's driven under extreme pressure with lots of cars much faster than him, much more experience, and he's done a good job. I have to give credit where it's due, and Basil Shaban for Team Lebanon is doing an outstanding job.
And so's this man, that's our race leader. It's Nicolas Lapierre for Team France, who now has a 5-second lead over Great Britain. Robbie Kerr runs in second place, but with the time lost behind Lebanon after the restart, not a lot he could do about that. Malaysia running 5th, Australia there in 6th place. Australia winning the battle with New Zealand again, because New Zealand's down in 9th. There's New Zealand, the black car, followed by Team Ireland in 10th.
So this battle, it's been really a reverse battle for Ireland. They've gone backwards after having had a great grid position. They lost out in turn 2. Now locks up. There's the flag indicating to Brazil they've got to come in and make that penalty drive through for a unconfirmed infringement. It may have been maybe more than one corner worker assisting. Remember, we saw he had a problem in that right front wheel. Maybe that's where the infringement is occurring.
Oh well, it's just they haven't had a lot of luck in the pits recently, Brazil, and it's costing them dearly. Unfortunately for Piquet, because he's racing hard, but he's going to lose a lot of time. He'll leave it probably till the last moment, but it's still going to drop him way down the order and out of the points. Into the pits for his pit stop now. His tyre change has come, Patil Shaban. He led the race. That was glory enough for the moment, and now it's time to put the new tyres on.
Well, there's no need to hurry here, because it's going to be a smooth pit stop, get him back out on the racetrack. Look at that. France and Nicolas Lapierre. Now he's really using the maximum he's got with both tyres on the car. His lead, as he came across the line at the end of 16 laps, or 9 seconds, and it's probably going to increase beyond that, certainly into 7 seconds over Team GBR, who are under pressure from Team Switzerland. Remember, Neil Yarni complaining about unwell, being ill throughout the week, and feeling weak after 10 laps of the 20-lap sprint race. Well, I'll tell you what, when you focus your concentration on adrenaline or operating at 100%, you forget about weakness. Just get in and drive the car.
Now, all we're going to see, I should imagine we'll see Piquet having to peel into the pits this time around, coming out of the final corner. This is where we'll expect to see him cross over into the pit lane. I think he was heading that direction.
Yes, he turned in.
So he's in for his drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, the battles continue on further back. Japan running in 18th place, and they are battling with China for 17th, with India. So India, China and Japan, the Far East have got, or Middle East and Far East have got their own battle going on at the back there. As for his drive-through penalty, here comes Brazil. And it's just gone wrong again for them in the feature race. Oh, and there's more contact.
And Czech Republic and Lauda, Team Austria, they contact down in turn 2. And one wonders really, I mean, it's not difficult, it's not a hard corner. I mean, two drivers racing, and I suspect the Czech Republic was the marginally quicker of the two cars. or maybe it was the other way around. We don't know. We hope to get a replay on that one. But for the second time in 2 races, Czech Republic out in turn 2.
Surely this will bring the safety car, and if they can't separate those 2 cars, maybe they'll be able to, but it looks a bit as though they're interlocked there, which is an awful position for them to be in. There is our race leader. Of course, it means his lead will be closed up, and Great Britain, safety car out. Great Britain will have a chance to be right up behind Team France, but looking at the pace that France had, they've set the fastest lap at a 1:21.016. Massive pace they have here at Eastern Creek. It's going to be very tough for Robbie Kerr and for Great Britain to pass the French car, and they're on for a great result, a second place.
I mean, the second place is probably where they are rightly positioned right now. They haven't got the out-and-out pace that we've seen from Team France, but Robbie has got to help himself a bit more. He's not made the best restarts under the safety car, had 3 of them over 2 races, and so far he's not been right on the...
Safety car lights are out. We're going to be getting this race underway once again, and it's Nicolas Lapierre who judges the moment at which he begins to accelerate. There he goes, and again, come on Robbie. Robbie Kerr left behind there for Great Britain, and Lapierre 4 times. Lapierre
4 times he's done that.
Just shooting away there, and Kerr has got to watch out because he's going to have pressure on here from Switzerland as the race gets underway again. The Netherlands running 4th, Malaysia 5th, and look at what's going on behind us.
Ireland and New Zealand coming down the main straight. Ireland retakes that place from New Zealand. They lost it earlier in the race, so up to 9th place.
Hope he managed to complete that after the line, otherwise there could be trouble. Ooh, that was tight as Portugal tried to squeeze inside Australia there. That was for 6th position. Australia just behind Malaysia at the moment. The 2 yellow cars as bouncing over that big leap there down out of turn 3. We saw the leaders, and New Zealand, as you say, has been passed there by Team Ireland, and we gather that Italy are rejoining the race. Look, they were in the pits for ages, but they are rejoining.
So we don't know what the problems that Team Italy had. Certainly they were in the pits for some 20 minutes and now back out onto the racetrack, and of course you never know. We've seen cars retire, we've seen cars crash out. There's points down to 10th place. You've got the opportunity to go out. It's probably unlikely, but you just don't know.
So down the hill they come, and you can see Canada versus the United States. That's a nice little battle to watch for, because that is for the final point. Canada 10th, United States 11th.
Brazil and Nelson Piquet Jr. running behind Team China. That's a position that should be relatively easy for Brazil to snatch away. But of course they've got to be careful. It's too easy to just run up to the back of a slower car and underestimate the braking speed. So now getting out of turn 12, picking up the slipstream of China. China has got 1 shot left, and Brazil has got none. Use all. Brazil has got nothing left.
It's got nothing left at all. But here is Brazil now on the charge. Now we've seen Piquet pull off a few moves at the next corner. If he gets a good run through turn 1, will he go for the inside? Looking there at Ireland and New Zealand. Oh, and it's all a bit action-packed as China goes off. Oh, we didn't quite see what was going on. I think Piquet went for the move.
I think he sold him a dummy, frankly. I think that's what happened. Tang Yi-Jiang was caught out by the much more experienced and a lot cannier Brazilian driver Piquet Jr.
Yeah, now he's got to try and get past India. That will be for 13th position, still outside the points, still a bit of work to be done, and it'll get tougher as he moves up. Tang Yi-Jiang getting out of the car, and that's a shame because it didn't look as though it was damaged, but presumably it's stalled and he isn't able to get the car restarted. Race leader France, 2nd Great Britain, 3rd Switzerland, all locking the brakes. Netherlands looking feisty. Jos Verstappen close behind the Swiss driver, who we know might be struggling in the latter stages of this race for fitness. I'm sure he was pretty relieved to get the safety car out just now. Malaysia and Australia here, racing hard against one another. Alex Young for Malaysia, Will Davison for Australia. Then it's Portugal in 7th. Ireland in 8th, New Zealand in 9th, and then that race between Canada and the USA for the final point in 10th.
So on board with Australia running up behind Malaysia. Both have got power boost remaining. Malaysia's got 5, Australia got 3. As they sweep through the flat out first turn and then head down to this problematic turn 2. Australia in no position to challenge Malaysia at this stage, but under pressure from Portugal, with Ireland also pressurising Portugal.
Brian Herter, the USA, had a little think about getting down the inside of Canada. What was happening behind? Yeah, Brazil making the move there on Pakistan, and they've got another place. So he's gained 2 places on that lap. He's got past both India and Pakistan.
Yes, and it's all going to happen down in turn 2. Remember, Brazil and PK have got no more power boost. There you see the 3 cars coming in. Now China just really outdrives itself. Almost PK getting involved with India. He was very lucky because India cut across early into the corner, that turn 2. Watch again as India turns in. PK's thinking, well, I can maybe slide up the inside. Suddenly he realises it's not going to happen, and Tang Yijiang somehow or other finds himself moved out to the right hand part of the track, and fortunately doesn't hit anything or do damage to his car, and that car in retirement.
17 laps remaining in the feature race here at Eastern Creek Raceway. France lead from Great Britain in 2nd, Switzerland in 3rd place. Then it's the Netherlands, Malaysia and Australia running in 6th. There's the race for 10th place between Canada and the USA. Youngster Sean McIntosh, who's moved up from Formula Renault, but has already featured on the podium in A1 Grand Prix. Right behind him is Brian Herter, a winner in IRL in Champ Cars, a real championship contender in top-level single-seater racing in the United States. But here he is in his first A1 Grand Prix event, and finding that it's all very close and very competitive. There's the Lebanese car putting some pressure on Japan. That's for 15th place. That is for position with his new tyres.
And he's having a go down the inside, and a good pass by Basil Shaban. But can he hold it? Can he? Does. He's going to go around the outside. He's going to have the advantage. Yes, he retains the advantage side by side. But Shimoda comes across the front, and Basil Shaban in Lebanon. Well, he's learning. He's probably learned in this race more than he's learned in his entire racing career, and I think he's enjoying it.
Yeah, it's great racing, isn't it? That's the point of A1. You get battles wherever you look, and certainly Japan and Lebanon having a good little dice there between the two of them, side by side for a couple of corners. Japan emerging in front and holding on to 15th place, so 16th place for Lebanon. The rest of the cars out of this race. Just ahead of them is India, the youngster Ahmed Ibrahim, 16-year-old, youngest driver in the race. He's just a few car lengths ahead of them at the moment, as we return to the group that's sort of just at the bottom end of the top 10. And look how PK has caught up to the back of the American car. There is a Chinese driver, and that's nice to see the support. There's a lot of Chinese fans here, obviously, this weekend, and it's lovely to see the support he's getting. But here we go, look, PK in the green and yellow car, now tucked in behind Brian Herter of the United States, and this could get very, very interesting.
Well, Brian Herter's got 1 shot left of his power boost button, but PK and Brazil have got nothing left. The battle really is between Canada here, Sean McIntosh, and Brian Herter from Team USA, and PK's got the quicker car, and he goes up the inside. A mistake from Herter. He over-braked himself going into turn 2. That's an error from a driver of Athletics. Oh my goodness, that is a bad accident.
We've seen a very, very big accident from somebody here, and I think it's the Japanese car. The back end of the car has been completely separated from the monocoque, the carbon fibre monocoque, the survival cell around the driver, and that has been a big, big accident.
Yes,
now,
we're going to have a safety car immediately. That's an accident that will require the safety car on track, and we think that might have been it coming out of turn 1. We couldn't really get a wide enough view of the part of the circuit, but I suspect that was on the exit. Something, either driver error or something beyond the driver's control, has caused that accident, a very high-speed accident. When you see that level of damage to a car, but of course when the car does that, it looks much worse than it is. There's so much energy will be dissipated when the engine separates from the chassis, and there we see the car with Shimoda sitting there in the car. I mean, he will be dazed, bruised, and not really knowing quite what has happened to him as the medical and the safety workers get to that. And now is is a red flag or what? No, safety car. It is a safety car, but be careful behind Robbie Kerr. You've got to slow down.
Well, the safety car on circuit then, and it is the French team ahead of Great Britain. This will bunch them all up again. There are 14 laps remaining in this race, but this is going to be a longish safety car period.
Something went wrong in turn 1, very, very big time behind Irish Shimoda. Whether he ran wide or whether there was contact with another car, but he made contact. Let's look at, well, that's just the accident when it came to a stop. I mean, he's basically all right, except probably really bruised, shaken and stirred.
Yes,
and as I said, with the engine gearbox package, the survival cell is what's key to a driver in an incident like this.
Concern from the Japanese team pit wall, of course. They want to see how their driver is, and it's the first meeting that Hayanari Shimoda has been at the wheel of the Japanese car. The Japanese team missed the last round of the championship in Estoril, and driver who's
got a lot of experience in sports car racing in particular, but obviously suffering a big accident there. So everybody else now, again, a chance to draw breath and just settle down, try and keep it calm as they wait to see how long this safety car period is going to last. It is France still leading from Great Britain and Switzerland, and Great Britain on to match their best result of the season so far. Robbie Kerr finished second in Germany after a tremendous fight back through the field. This time he's done it from a little further up the order, but he's driven very well. Further back, we saw just before that incident, Piquet had just managed to get past USA, and of course that now means that Brazil are on the verge of getting at least 1 point out of this. Oh, somebody's pulling off now.
I think it's Team Canada. I think it is.
Now he's got suspension damage.
I wonder, was there contact? I mean, that accident that occurred in turn 1 was not a normal accident. The car, we've seen cars go off on turn 1 and they've gone off much further around the corner, and that's a right rear suspension, so there may well have been contact between Japan and Canada. We can't remember clearly if they were close together on the racetrack. Still the field runs behind the safety car. There's still a lot of work being carried out at the exit of turn 1, the scene of that extremely heavy accident for Team Japan, and Nare Shimoda, whose the reports we're getting back is that he's fine. He's just suffering probably from massive bruising, I would imagine, and just taking their time. Stabilisation, we mentioned, is the key to driver recovery in these situations, and if this race has to run out under safety car, well, that's the way it will run out. 11 laps to go.
Yep. And France looking for another win. I mean, what a tremendous run of success the French team is having at the moment. They're looking for their 6th victory, and it's not just 6 wins, it's 6 in a row as well, and from 2 different drivers, from Nicolas Lapierre and Alexander Premat. They're also, of course, looking for getting a bit more prize money out of this race, because if they take another victory, well, they'll be on for another $300,000. They're the top money earners already. There is the safety crew doing its work nice and slowly, nice and steadily, and just making sure that everything's okay with Nare Shimoda. But he's out of the car now. You can see how the car has broken in two, but that's pretty much exactly what the car is designed to do.
Yes, when we saw the accident for the first time, obviously you look and think, my goodness, what a tremendous, horrendous accident. So let's have a look and say, well, look at that. You can see that was, I don't know what speed he was doing, but certainly probably still doing 120 or 30 miles an hour when he hit just the end of that tyre barrier. Fortunately, he just did hit the end of the tyre barrier and not the unprotected concrete barrier, which was just adjacent to where the car has come to a stop. Now, we don't know what caused that accident, whether there was contact with another car. We did see Team Canada, as we look down now from that view helicopter shot, as Nare Shimoda is removed to the ambulance and be taken to the Circuit Medical Centre. But to go back to the images that we saw of the car with the engine separated from the chassis, that's good, because what that does is dissipate so much energy that would otherwise be transmitted into the driver. So the more bits that come off, the more energy that is dissipated. The key in any accident is the survival cell, the part that the driver sits in, the monocoque we call it, full carbon fibre monocoque, and that looks like to me it stayed totally intact and really protected the driver in a way it was designed to do.
Yes, thankfully, even though he's being stretchered away, the news is good concerning the driver. I mean, he will be very, very sore after an impact like that. The sort of speeds that were involved there were immense, and the impact was very high. So maybe no broken bones. Well, we don't know that for sure yet. But even if not, he will be very, very sore indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I've had impacts in different times in my career, and sometimes you end up with severe bruising, sometimes external bruising, other times internal. It's the internal bruising, of course, that's probably the most difficult thing to recover from, because you can't always see it, but it does cause a great deal of discomfort, and just a little bit of time, probably a few nights in hospital, just to allow him to recover in the security of that situation. We'll see Nare Shimoda back on his legs again, and hopefully very shortly back as we look at that's what's left of Team Japan's A1 Grand Prix chassis.
Yes, not a great deal left of it in many ways, but as you say, the survival cell has remained intact, and that's the crucial part. But there's the engine and gearbox, the rear wheel, one rear wheel attached.
Whatever way he went in backwards, and it was the right rear of the car that took the first initial impact, and that then you saw the explosion of dust and parts of the car and then ultimately the engine gearbox unit detaching from the chassis, which undoubtedly, as I mentioned earlier, would have helped reduce the impact for the driver.
There are 6 minutes available still, as you can see the clock counting down. Just under 6 minutes to go in this race. It will definitely be checkered at the 1 hour mark. The question is whether we will get any racing in before then. There's still quite a lot of clearing up to do, and so whether we'll even get a lap in or not too sure at this stage. Ambulance heading off with Shimoda in the ambulance now, being taken off to the medical centre, and as that's happening, of course, they are doing their best to clear away the broken bits of car, get them out of harm's way, and perhaps they'll clear the track, but it's going to be a marginal thing.
And one of the other issues, of course, is the cars have been running round now for 7-8 laps. They'll be more behind the safety car. Tyre temperatures will be down, they'll be low, the tyre pressures will correspondingly have dropped down. So when this race, if it does get underway, everybody out there will have to be very, very careful, because they'll be effectively restarting this race on tyres in a condition. There will be a pickup as well on the surface of the tyre from the rubber that's come off from the previous laps, and any other would be rubbish and junk. As we look back and we can see what's going on. Now there's we catch the tail end of that incident, and well, that was a big impact.
It was a big impact. I think he did
yes, he might have done.
He did hit the unprotected part of the concrete wall, in fact, and there you can see the damage to the car. But
the marshals there very quickly indeed. I mean, that was, and you'd see that there's movement in the cockpit. That's the first sign that any of the marshals. Now the marshals themselves are not allowed to touch a driver in these situations. It's only the medical delegates that can get in there and help the driver.
So across the line they come again to complete another lap. Little bits of rubber being thrown off.
Little bits. There's large lumps of rubber. That's the pickup that occurs when you're running on a racing slick tyre and it's not running at racing temperature. There is rubber around the racetrack that gets picked up on the hot sticky rubber, and then it adheres to the surface of the tyre, and of course you get a huge out of balance when those bits start to fly off.
Just 3 minutes 50 seconds of the race to go. The clean-up operation still going on down there on the exit of turn number 1, where Hayanori Shimoda had a very big accident in the Japanese car. They've still got to remove the engine and gearbox section that split away from the rest of the monocoque. Weaving around at the back of the field is the Lebanon car in 14th place of Basil Shaban, who led at one stage before he made his pit stop and everyone else had made their pit stops. His moment of glory passed fairly quickly, but I'm sure he enjoyed his time at the front of the field. Get a taste for it, and he'll be wanting a lot more of it on board here, though, with Malaysia's driver Alex Young. He's on for a 5th place finish to match his best result of the season so far, and he'll be chasing home Netherlands and heading Australia at the current rate of progress. No question about who's been the dominant team and driver though this weekend. It's been France again. Nicolas Lapierre, he's ahead of Robbie Kerr on the road, and he's just been in supreme form. The whole team has been superb, and his race engineer Chris Gorn telling me earlier that he really rates this young man. He was the youngest ever winner of the Macau Formula 3 race, and it's just the way that he deals with the whole racing environment, not just in the car, but how he deals with the whole team. He's very impressed.
Well, he's a very tranquil guy. You see him in the pits. He's not, as some drivers are, they get very hyper when they're around a racetrack, when they're about to get into a car. So the lights are just...
The lights are out. Yeah, we are going to go racing here, John. We are going to get a lap.
Over 2 minutes remaining.
Yep, so we are going to get some racing underway here. Our Team France going to be under pressure here from Great Britain. Watch the restart this time. Lapierre has been brilliant on the restarts, and again he catches them out. He just decides when to go for it, and he's got that move totally sorted. And Robbie Kerr of Great Britain has a gap to deal with. Maybe all he's focused on is holding on to this 2nd place. That's what he's trying to protect now. Switzerland still in 3rd, the Netherlands in 4th. Now watch out for what's going on behind, because there could be some last gasp manoeuvres here.
Well, there are coming down the main street. You can see cars moving over to the left of track to defend, but Pakistan gets things better.
Ireland trying to get past Portugal, but they couldn't quite do it, could they?
Thought better of it, because on cold tyres at the restart of you don't want to take that unnecessary risk.
New Zealand versus Brazil, that's for 9th place as well. The black car of New Zealand versus the green, yellow and white Brazilian entry. Right behind them, the American car. It's France still leading as they'll come around this time. I think they'll get one more lap in probably before they see the checkered flag as Verstappen of the Netherlands attacking Switzerland
for third place. We haven't seen Jos Verstappen on the podium yet, but he's got to find a way past the Swiss car if he's going to do it here.
Well, if Neil Yarney is feeling sick, he's had the opportunity to get a bit of a recovery for the last 8-9 laps running behind the safety car. All he has to do is make sure he doesn't make a mistake coming out of turn 12 onto that main straight. There's probably very little chance, and Jos Verstappen is the man, in fact, that makes the error in turn 9.
Yeah, that drops him away again a little bit, so he's not really going to be in position to challenge. They will get this lap and one more. They'll be going on to their final lap when they come around this time, and it looks as though France are all set for victory, no doubt about that, unless Lapierre makes a huge mistake. Great Britain on the power boost, Switzerland on the power boost, Netherlands on the power boost. France doesn't even bother. He's got a big lead, and he's still got 5 power boosts available to him. Further behind, any moves going on. New Zealand under attack from Brazil. This could be for a potential pass, and this is for 9th.
And defence from New Zealand, they move from right over to the left. Piquet looks for Team Brazil. He's going to try and cut back, but going around the outside, as we've seen Team USA sneak down the inside, almost locks up, and almost, in fact, gets involved in that battle, but he's a part of the battle himself. He's in 11th place, Brazil in 10th, and New Zealand 9th.
Great scratch still going on then for the final point here at Eastern Creek, but the race leader has drawn away once more. Still the Netherlands hounding Switzerland, wanting that position on the podium, but it's not going to happen surely unless Jos Verstappen pulls off some little miracle. That was a bit of a mistake from Yarni, but not a big one, and that doesn't drop him into the clutches of Jos Verstappen.
Well, the key corner coming up here is turn 9. If one of these two drivers gets it wrong, the advantage will fall, and it's
Robbie Kerr! Dear, oh dear, oh dear, he nearly got into big trouble there. Big slide, and he held it.
Well, I don't know why he needed to do that. He was not under pressure from Switzerland. It's Switzerland that's under pressure from the Netherlands, yet he outbraked himself, locked it up, skidded sideways, but recovered and is able to consolidate his second place.
Here comes France to take victory number 6 of A1 Grand Prix, and Nicolas Lapierre has dominated proceedings in Australia. Second place goes to Great Britain. Oh, and everyone bunched up. And third to Switzerland.
But Lapierre did what he did in the first race. He pulls off to the left, slows right down. Robbie Kerr, Team GBR, pulled across, and look at that. Lebanon delighted with their day's racing. They led this race on merit at one point, and that was a little sign of his pleasure.
I'll tell you why, he just got past India on that lap. Lebanon just sneaked past India on that last lap to take 13th position. India finished 14th.
Well, Nicolas Lapierre, the only thing he's done wrong today, I think, is that he locked up as he did in the first race. That's sort of the signal of pleasure from Team France. He didn't maybe anticipate that Team GBR had followed him over to the left-hand part of the track and had to make a smart move, sharp right, to avoid running into the back of Team France's winning car.
Chris Gordon, the sunglasses, and the whole French team really enjoying this moment. They have looked strong all weekend, but what beautifully judged races from Nicolas Lapierre. Despite, there were a couple of little issues he had to deal with sitting behind Portugal in the early stages. He caught Portugal. Then, of course, they had the drive-through penalty, and it was easy. But the team, remember how much pressure they were on in the pit lane, because when he and Great Britain came in, they were virtually together, and the team turned him round, got him out ahead, and that was really one of the key moments in the race.
Very much so, and that's what this feature race is all about. It's not simply about a driver doing the job on the racetrack. It's about how you manage and you perfect the art of doing a pit stop. Alexander Premat, now he will be under pressure when he goes to Malaysia. No doubt he will be the driver in Team France's car. Nicolas Lapierre has now won 4 out of 4. Alexander Premat has won 2 out of 2 in terms of overall wins, not overall races. So Team France, once again, they're not just the ultimately dominant team, they are the team.
Yeah, they are the team to beat at the moment, and Nicolas Lapierre has shown them all the way home here. But second place for Great Britain, that matches their best finish of the season so far and gives them a tremendous boost in the championship as well. Switzerland on the podium once again, and Switzerland have been one of the most consistent performers, no doubt about that. The Netherlands finishing in 4th place, and that matches the best that Jos Verstappen has had. He was 4th last time out in Portugal. Malaysia 5th. Malaysia 5th ahead of Australia 6th, then Portugal 7th, and then Ireland, New Zealand and Brazil. So that's how the top 10 have finished here, with Neil Yarni bringing his car home in 3rd place, and still Lapierre celebrating
his double victory and France's 6th win of the season. 6 wins on the trot. Remember, Brazil won the opening 2 rounds of the championship, but France have won every single race since then, which is just remarkable when you consider they're all the same cars, they're all identical, and yet the French team just have everything right. But there's Robbie Kerr to celebrate, finishing in 2nd place, a hard-fought 2nd place and well-deserved.
Yeah, see, he worked for it, although we've seen under the restarts, he's got to, if in situations in the future, hit with the restarts. You know, a driver has to listen to what the car ahead of him is doing. He can't just react to what he sees. So Nicolas Lapierre, when he was making each of those restarts, was having to build up the revs to make that sprint away. And Robbie was not as sharp as some others maybe who would have been directly behind the French team and the Frenchman.
Confirmation of the results: France ahead of Great Britain and Switzerland, then the Netherlands, Malaysia, Australia 6th, Portugal 7th, Ireland, New Zealand and Brazil scoring that final point ahead of USA, then Pakistan in 12th ahead of Lebanon, who just beat India on the last lap, Canada out of the race 15th, Japan out of the race 16th, and on down the list. And they do get classified even though they're not finishing, but remember, points only pay down to 10th position. Fastest lap, by the way, did go to France, so they got the full Monty here this weekend. They had the pole position, the 2 race wins and the extra single point for fastest lap. Let's just take a look at how the points stand then, and it is a 19-point advantage for France over Brazil. Switzerland in 3rd, but New Zealand in 4th, just ahead of Great Britain in 5th place. So they've climbed back up the order after a couple of good point scoring finishes here for Great Britain. Portugal 6th, then Australia 7th. They've dropped down effectively. Netherlands 8th, Ireland 9th, Malaysia in 10th. They've been scoring consistently, Malaysia. 11th place for Canada. They've had the 1 podium finish so far, so have Mexico. And then on down the list, the United States there on 8 points, Japan on 6, but no points of course scored today. Indonesia weren't here this time, they'll be back out next time in Malaysia. And then at the bottom of that list in 20th place, Pakistan on 4 points. They were just outside the points again today. Austria in 21st, and still the 4 teams yet to score. They are China, India, Lebanon and Russia. But Lebanon might not have scored any points today, Joe, but they did enjoy the fact that they led the race.
Yes, because of the use of the safety car, and then when they chose to go into the pits, they didn't choose to go into the pits when the majority of the field, so they in effect became race leader. And for Basel Japan and Team Lebanon, it was a moment where you could see all around the racetrack the flags of Lebanon being waved. It's a real treat to see a nation that really is in its early years again formatively in motorsport, having that opportunity to lead briefly, but nevertheless lead.
So a dramatic feature race, not least for Team Japan. Lee Mackenzie caught up with one of the team's representatives for the latest on Shimoda's condition.
We've got what's left of coming in of the car behind us. How is the driver?
Hinari apparently seems to be just fine. He's a little concussed. It's clear that the car did an exceptional job in protecting him. The safety cell in the A1 Grand Prix car stood up brilliantly. He was a little woozy in the car when the safety team got to him very quickly. He's now at the medical centre. All his vital signs are good. They're talking about sending him to the city hospital just for a CAT scan and probably keep him in overnight because it was a big impact and they just want to keep an eye on him. But at the moment he looks like he's just fine.
Any idea how it happened?
Not at this time. We've got the car back now. We'll download the data. Seems like he was on his own, but we can't speculate at this time.
Malcolm, thanks very much.
Okay.
Team France looked invincible going into race day, and they didn't let themselves down. Nicolas Lapierre taking it away. Started on pole, finished on pole. Let's hear from 1, 2 and 3. They've been speaking to Lee Mackenzie.
Nicolas Lapierre, Team France, make it 6 from 6. Plenty of action out there. It probably wasn't the start that you normally get. Just tell us what happened with you and Parenti.
I mean, my start was not too bad, but I was quite surprised to see Alvaro on the left so soon, you know. But then my team told me he had to stop and go, so just because his start was just normal, you know. But I made a bit of a mistake on first corner because the track was very dirty and I just slowed down too much. So Nessino get past me on the first corner, but then I overtook him on the braking on corner second, so it was okay because we were in front of him, which is very important for us. And then it was a very good race, very exciting, a lot of safety car, but anyway, it was very nice.
You had lots of opportunity to practice your restarts with the safety cars out there. You seem to have perfected them. Is it easier from the front, or are the guys just not keeping up with you behind?
You know, I don't know, it just went right, you know, it's not easy, but yeah, I think I had a good strategy. We had like 5 safety car today, so I just had to get good, you know, after safety car, because it's not easy with push to pass, you can be passed, but it went all right.
Nicholas, thanks very much for the moment. Robbie Kerr, Team Great Britain. It was an exciting time at the end for you. I'm not quite sure if you'd say that. Lock up, you nearly lost a place.
We had a lock up on the last lap, but I knew that Neil was a little bit too far behind to do much about it, and I just made sure I got good drive out of the corner, and it was all okay. But no, it was a interesting race for us. We got a reasonable start, but a couple of people got a slightly better start. They went to the outside of the first corner, I went to the inside, and we came away in front, and I managed to get Neil into the second corner, and then I was just chasing down Nelson.
Yeah, they had a great move past Nelson, and from then on, when you got to the front, it was really just holding your own.
It was. Nelson gave me room, which was very fair of him, going into the first corner, and then it was just a case of keeping consistent pace. In the first stint we were equal to France, but in the second stint after the pit stops, our tyres weren't in quite as good a condition as theirs, and so we were just struggling a little bit for grip.
A1 Grand Prix's next stop is Malaysia. You can catch qualifying on Saturday morning, November the 19th at 6 a.m. on Sky Sports 3, and then you can see uninterrupted live race coverage on Sunday morning, 5 a.m. Sky Sports 3. So it took 3 Boeing 747s to get A1 Grand Prix here, and for Team France, it was well worth the journey.